Afterward Moses and Aaron came and said to Pharaoh,
"This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness."
Who is the Lord, that I should listen to his voice to let Israel go? I don't know the Lord, and moreover I will not let Israel go.
The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord, our God, lest he fall on us with pestilence or with the sword.
Why do you, Moses and Aaron, take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens. But behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens.
The same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying,
You shall no longer give the people straw to make brick, as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. You shall require from them the number of the bricks which they made before. You shall not diminish anything of it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry, saying, Let's go and sacrifice to our God. Let heavier work be laid on the men, that they may labor in it. Don't let them pay any attention to lying words.
The taskmasters of the people went out with their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying,
This is what Pharaoh says. I will not give you straw. Go yourselves, get straw where you can find it, for nothing of your work shall be diminished.
So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were urgent, saying,
Fulfill your work quota daily, as when there was straw.
The officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble when it was said,
You shall not diminish anything from your daily quota of bricks.
They met Moses and Aaron, who stood along the way as they came out from Pharaoh. They said to them,
May the Lord look at you and judge, because you have made us a stench to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants to put a sword in their hand to kill us.
Moses returned to the Lord and said,
Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it that you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble on this people. You have not rescued your people at all.
Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For by a strong hand he shall let them go, and by a strong hand he shall drive them out of his land. I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name, the Lord, I was not known to them. I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their travels, in which they lived as aliens. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore tell the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, and with great judgments. I will take you to myself for a people. I will be your God, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brings you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a heritage. I am the Lord. Behold, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not listen to you, so I will lay my hand on Egypt, and bring out my armies, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. The Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch out my hand on Egypt, and bring the children of Israel out from amongst them. When Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, Perform a miracle. Then you shall tell Aaron, Take your rod, and cast it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent.
Moses and Aaron did so. As the Lord commanded them, so they did. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke to Pharaoh. Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers. The The magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their enchantments, for they each cast down their rods, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them as the Lord had spoken.
Pharaoh's heart is stubborn. He refuses to let my people go. Now let the waters of Egypt run with blood.
Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded. As the staff struck the waters of the Nile, the river turned to blood and all its fish died. The stench of death filled the air, and the Egyptians recoiled.
If you refuse to let my people go, I will plague your land with frogs.
The plague of frogs overwhelmed Egypt. Frogs covered the land, invading every home and every bed. Pharaoh, in desperation, summoned Moses and Aaron to plead for relief.
Stretch out your rod and strike the dust of the earth, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
Aaron struck the dust of the earth, and it became lice, covering every man and animal in Egypt. The magicians could not replicate this plague and declared, "This is the finger of God."
If you will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon you, your servants and your people.
Swarms of flies descended upon Egypt, corrupting the land and spreading disease. But in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, there were no flies, for the Lord had spared them.
I will send a grievous pestilence upon your livestock. But I will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt.
The hand of the Lord struck the livestock of Egypt, and all the animals in the field died. Yet in Goshen, not a single animal of the Israelites was harmed.
Take handfuls of ashes and let Moses scatter them towards the sky. It will become fine dust over Egypt, causing boils to break out on man and beast.
As Moses scattered the ashes into the air, painful boils broke out on the Egyptians. Even the magicians could not stand before Moses.
I will send a very grievous hail, such as has not been seen in Egypt since its founding.
The Lord sent a storm of hail and fire upon Egypt. The crops were destroyed, and the land was laid waste. Yet in Goshen, not a single hailstone fell.
Stretch out your hand over Egypt, so that locusts may come upon the land and devour every plant that the hail has left.
The Lord sent a swarm of locusts that covered the land of Egypt. They devoured every plant and tree, leaving nothing green in the land.
Stretch out your hand towards the sky, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt for 3 days. The Egyptians could not see one another, nor rise from their place.
I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and strike down all the firstborn. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt.
At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. From the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captive, there was not a house where there was not someone dead. The Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on their way. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night didn't depart from before the people.
Speak to the children of Israel that they turn back and encamp before Pihahiroth, between Migdal and the sea before Baal-zephon. You shall encamp opposite by the sea. Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will follow after them. And I will get honor over Pharaoh and over all his armies. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord.
The king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was changed towards the people. Pharaoh prepares his chariot and takes 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, the captains over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel.
Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you treated us this way, to bring us out of Egypt?
Don't be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For you will never again see the Egyptians who you have seen today. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall be still.
Lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. Then the children of Israel shall go into the middle of the sea on dry ground.
Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. The children of Israel went into the middle of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. The Egyptians pursued, and went in after them into the middle of the sea. All of Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen.
Let's flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians.
Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come again on the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen.
Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. The Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. Israel saw the great work which the Lord did to the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord. And they believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses.